My name is Drew Dixon. I am an alcoholic. I was born November 10th, 1970. My mom, she's from Chamblee, never had much. Her dad was Chamblee police officer, and he died when I was probably 2 or 3, and I don't have any memories of him. And my grandmother lived with us till she passed away, and hate to say, I don't even know when, sometime in the 90s. My memory's not too good. My dad, he's from a small little farm town in northern North Carolina. He was raised in the tobacco fields, did 2 tours of Vietnam, and keeps everything in. Not a very good communicator. We have a more of a partnership. We're partners in a business than a father-son, but that's okay. I know they love me. They did everything they could to give me every opportunity, wanted me to have it better than they had, and did that. They never held back anything from me. I have a younger sister, 4 years younger, Courtney, and she's just an angel. To say I'm the black sheep is quite an understatement. She never drank, made good grades, got married a virgin, and in high school she was dating Ryan Seacrest. So he used to come on vacations with us. She just had it all together and still does. My brother-in-law, she married Jay, great guy. He was integral in getting me into this recovery process, and he loves this program. He's got a brother in the program, and he's one that I want to be, and he's not one of us. But growing up, I was always in church. We were there every Sunday, Wednesday, and I became good friends with three guys my age at church, and we were tight. Still are, to a certain degree. We talk every now and then. But when I was young, and still, I was very shy, standoffish. Just anyone say anything cross to me, I was going to bust out into tears. And you'll see me cry here today, but today they're tears of gratitude. And I hated being in the spotlight, much like I do today. Although I make a living in front of huge crowds auctioning off property. And, if I'm chanting, selling something, then I don't think about it. But actually opening up and speaking is what gets to me. I never was competitive. I was a loner from the get-go. My first drink, I was 11 or 12 years old, and we were on a Disney cruise. And all I remember, I got 3 memories of that cruise. My sister won $75 in bingo. I remember my first drink and my second drink. And that's all I remember of the whole Disney cruise. I remember it was, my dad had walked into a bar and I was on his hip, and I was standing at the bar, I remember, and he ordered a whiskey sour. And he said, "Here you go." And I just slammed it back, and right then I got that feeling, just, okay, I like this. And it's, I must have been born with it, because normal person wouldn't have just those memories of a cruise and that feeling I had when I took that first drink. Later on that cruise, I went on an excursion, a little snorkeling trip, and somehow I'd cut my foot getting back in the boat or something. And so the way they helped it, they gave me a Bahama Mama. And I liked that. And then as we got going back, they said, "Who wants a Bahama Mama?" And of course, I'm on another one. And those are the only memories. I don't remember what happened when I saw my parents or anything of that nature. I just remember the feeling those drinks gave me. And, since that first drink, I never saw my dad drink again till I was probably 18. There was no alcohol in the house. My mom, I never saw her drink till I was probably 20 or 21, and she just drinks a few glasses of wine. But it was me and those running buddies from church that hung out together. And unfortunately, our movies that we were loved and watched over and over were Hollywood Nights and Porky's. And we tried to do everything. And I was just a mean little shit. I didn't care about consequences. I just wanted people to like me. And the way I thought they would was showing out and hurting other people. We would do stupid things. I hate to say this. We spiked the punch at a church Valentine's party. But unfortunately, it wasn't with alcohol. And it was just those kinds of things, just ludicrous thinking. I've always been crazy. And I think I kind of get that from my mom a little. I'm 42 and Santa Claus still visits me. For some reason, he drops it off at my mom's house and she brings it over on Christmas Day. But she's just a precious, precious woman. Growing up in high school, I would work for my dad's company in the summers, and we had an office in Houston, Texas. So I'd spend my summers out in Texas, and it was always with older people working with a company, and everyone drank. So, that was just part of it. And by 16 or 17, I was drinking pretty much every weekend. Occasionally during the week, but every weekend I was looking for a party. And when I'd get to a party, I always felt I needed to be somewhere else. I never was comfortable where I was. Never got comfortable in my skin. And I never saw my dad much growing up. We do the same thing now. Back then it was RTC days, and so he would be gone all week in meetings, and I'd see him on the weekends. And, the first thing that happened would be me go to the room and get the spanking I deserved from the whole week before. But that's what he knew. I don't blame anything on them. They tried their best. Went to high school at Greater Atlanta Christian in Norcross. My parents had to borrow money, get me in there, and, just wanted the best for me. I never was good in classes. I had tutors all the time, and later to find out I got dyslexia. But that's all right. High school was fun. I dated a few women, but nothing serious. And actually, I never had a serious girlfriend until I met my wife. But high school, I made a 750 on my SAT, so about the only place I could get in was Georgia Southern, and that was fine with me because I had visited there and they partied. So I head to Georgia Southern with one of my friends, Scott from church, my running buddy, and all we did was party. At Southern, there was a party every night of the week, from Bust Your Bladder night, where it was free drinks till someone went to the bathroom, penny beer. Burro Pizza was one of my favorites, paid $7. It was all the beer you could drink and pizza you could eat. And of course, block parties every night. So in college, it got to where I was drinking every day. And drugs started to come into play there. I was, started smoking pot and doing some coke. And, finals came around one semester, and, I didn't feel, there was a party down at Tybee Island, so we just went camping. We skipped the finals. And that was my attitude. I wanted to be where the fun was at all times. I was scared to, I always wanted to be alone, but I was scared when I got there. I wanted to be somewhere else. 1991, I got a DUI down at Georgia Southern, and that didn't slow me down. It did cause me and Georgia Southern to break off a great relationship after 2 years and 9 hours of credit. But it was time. So I came home from Georgia Southern, and I went to live in my parents' basement and going to classes at what was then DeKalb Community College, and just partying, smoking pot. And then I decided, well, shoot, I got to do something to work. Well, let me get a bartending job. So I become a bartender at this Italian restaurant not too far from the house. And my whole motive was, of course, I'll be right there with the alcohol, I'll just drink. And that's what I did. I had me a styrofoam cup that who knows what they thought was in it, but it was just alcohol. And I drank every day at work. And just, it was plummeting quick. And this was in the early 90s. Now, the mid 90s through the 2000s, I can't put dates on things. It's all a blur. It will come, I guess. And if it doesn't, that's all right, because I'm here now and everything's wonderful. But it still bothers me a little. In 1994, I went to work for my dad. He started a new company, and that's the only reason I remember the years, because that's when he started his new company. And when he did that, of course, I went to live in Buckhead. Me and some buddies rented a house down there, and but it worked. When he started this company, it was a struggle. We didn't have an auction for over a year and a half or something, and he was just living on credit. And but that, I had no compassion for that. I needed my check because I had to party down in Buckhead. And while living down there, it got way out of control. I was during the week, of course, I'd still go down to the bar. I could walk to the Buckhead bars, and this was when Buckhead was thriving. So I'd go down there and got to know all the bartenders and owners, and weekends I would bounce or bartend at one of the bars so I could drink free, eat ecstasy, and deal coke. And this carried on for a few years. And then I met my wife in 98, Stephanie. And when we had first met, she was working at an office downstairs from my office, and a mutual friend had set us up on a date. So we went out and dated and found out she drank too, and didn't mind doing a little cocaine. So I said, well, this is going to work. So we started dating. And it worked great. We partied together, had great times, and got married in 2002. And the partying kept going. We were having fun, traveling, seeing things. And then she got pregnant in 2004, and right there she dropped everything. No drinking, smoking, doing coke, nothing. And and there went my party friend. And so I didn't know what to do. I quit doing cocaine and rarely would smoke pot except when I'd see my buddies, but not around the house or anything. But I couldn't quit drinking. And she let me get away with it for quite a while. When my first son was born, Austin, we were in the hospital. She had gone into labor, and of course I was drunk. Took her to the hospital, and then when he's coming out, he came out and he didn't look right, and all I heard was code blue stat, and I turned around and they're trying to get him going again, and I didn't know what to do. I was so scared. But I did all I knew to do, and I left. Went to the bar, not knowing what was going to happen. But I showed back up the next day, and he was all right. From there on, it was rough with me and Stephanie. Of course, I wasn't ready to admit that I had a problem or needed help, of course. And it just kept on. So I had to start lying more. I would leave. My regular routine was go to work, and if I could make it till 3 o'clock, that was staying late. But I'd have to leave early and go to the bar and drink till about 5:30, then act like I'm coming home from work, and of course tell her I had to go do something else and go back to the bar. And this lasted for a couple years till she quit her job and came to work for us. And that kind of threw a little wrench in my plan, but it didn't slow me down. I just had to lie more and make up other excuses and lies. My second son was born in '08. I really don't remember Austin's first 4 years. They were really Brody's. He was born in '08, and once again I was drunk. And my wife smelt it on me. Was going, "You're drunk." I said, "No, I just had a beer just to calm my nerves." And that's what I'd always do. Before auctions, I always had to have it. If the auction was at 9 a.m., I had to get up early so I could start drinking to calm the nerves. But yeah, he was born, and they were not near the complications with Austin, but she said that I was just in there yelling and embarrassing, and that there's no way to go back and take that back. That's etched. So there I just 08's when I knew I was an alcoholic, because I didn't want to be in there drunk. I'd already shown my ass in '04 with my first son, and here I am doing it again. And it's just on and on every day. I would just lie and have to get to the bar. I would go to the bar at least twice a day, and never once was there not a cooler with a 12-pack of beer on ice in my car. Always. And somewhere around '05 or something, the beer just wasn't doing it like I needed it, so I had to start drinking Mind Eraser. My drink was a big vanilla mind eraser. I'd get them to put it in big pint glass full of ice, double Kahlua, double vanilla vodka, and scare it with a soda, put 2 straws in it, and suck it till it's gone. And that was my routine. Go to the bar, 3 or 4 of those, plenty of beers, go back home, go back to the bar, get 3 or 4 more, then I may be ready to lay down. You know, up to last year, I never got to wake my kids up in the morning. Never tucked them in. I just wasn't a dad, wasn't a husband, wasn't a son, damn sure wasn't an employer. I had nothing. I was hopeless. Then 4th of July week, 2010, every 4th of July, I have a big party at our family lake house up on Lake Hartwell. And it was a hell of a party for many, many years. And the last one was 2010. We, of course, it was plenty of drinking. I would, when I'm at the lake, I'll drink at least a case of beer during the day. There's 3 bars that were on my route. I'd have mind erasers at each of those. I'd have my water bottle full of moonshine, because if it was full of vodka, I could drink it too quick. I needed something to bite me a little so I wouldn't just be chugging it. And it was a good week. But I got home from the 4th of July week 2010, and I was swollen here, hurting real bad, dehydrated. So I went to my doctor, and they said, well, you need an IV, you got heat exhaustion, but you got to go to the emergency room to get an IV. So I did, and I went down there, and they plugged me up to a drip. And they said, well, they started pressing. They said, well, something doesn't quite look right. We're going to run some tests. And it came back my pancreas was in very bad shape. And they said, look, you drink, you can die if you drink anymore. So my idea was, and damned if Stephanie wasn't there and heard it. So what I did, they gave me these sheets with my prescriptions and no alcohol, no alcohol. So I crumbled those up, hoping, well, maybe she'll forget they said no drinking. And they gave me a big bottle of painkillers and just sent me on my way. And I came here because I knew I didn't want to die. I didn't think. But I came here and came to a couple meetings, and I remember a few faces from there, and I would just come in, sit down, and just cry. And they kept saying, keep coming back. And I heard talks of some big book. I didn't know what the hell that was. And I was doing all right. I made it 2 weeks until I was in Lake Tahoe for an auction, staying at a casino, and just took my last painkiller. Thought, well, I'm starting to feel a little better. Let's see how this beer goes down. And it hurt drinking that thing, but I got it down and kept it down. And so it took me a couple weeks to start to where it didn't hurt when I drank, but I finally got back to where I could drink. And that's when I knew it was over. There's nothing I can do about this, but I was, of course, way too scared to let anybody in on it. But I knew in my heart there was no way I could quit. And from then till 13 months ago, I prayed that I would die. I was too much of a wimp to ever do it myself, but I'd pray for the craziest things while I'm driving. Please let a tree fall on me, or let some 18-wheeler just come nail me just where I wouldn't see it coming. Just I want to be gone. And the hatred that my wife and I had for each other, I hated her. And she hated me. We would constantly, I wish I'd never met you. You're the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And we meant it. We hated each other. And my poor kids, they just had to sit and listen. And it really affected my oldest one. He's in some counseling now for anger. I don't know why he got that. But it was rough, man. It was rough. You know, 91, I had a DUI. 95, I got another DUI on the way to a Braves playoff game, handcuffed on the side of Fulton Road, right up there by the stadium, hauled in. Somewhere in the 90s, I went through a roadblock, got possession of marijuana. I was driving and smoking a joint, and they didn't give me a DUI. I got pulled over, had to blow in a breathalyzer one time, and blew a .02. And I hadn't even been drinking that day. It was in the morning. I was just waking up. And then in Gwinnett, I'd gotten pulled over in Gwinnett County one time and was actually in the back of the cop car headed to the station. Got in the station, had to blow in the little tube thing, and it didn't register. It registered. I was doing the old trick, breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. Don't let any air come from inside. It got it down to a .05, and somehow talked my dumb ass out of it. I've had fender benders. 2 of them was the kids in the car drunk. If my kids were in the car with me, they were riding around with a drunk. It was pure hell. Pure hell. Christmas of 2000, actually, on my 40th birthday, 2010, my wife set up a surprise party for me. So I'd had an auction that day, and went to the bar afterwards and came home drunk and tired, just wanting to go to bed. Opened my door, and there's a ton of people in there. And I shut the door. I swore it was an intervention. And I almost turned and left. That's where my mind was. That's how much I knew I had a problem. I was praying for it. But it wasn't, and we got that party going. Opposite of an intervention. But those last couple of years, I was hopeless, scared to admit it, just pure hell. That's the only way I know to describe it. Then in early June of 2012, we had a family get-together at our lake house with my parents, my sister and her family, my family. And my youngest got sick. So Stephanie had taken him home, and something got at her. She got pissed about something and sent out an email to my parents, all my family, my sister, brother-in-law, talking about my drinking. Ooh, I was hot. And so my mom called for a family meeting. Now I'm a mama's boy. And I told you, my dad and me, we have a business relationship. I think he's hugged me twice. I've heard I love you from him a couple times, but that's just not him. And that's okay, because I know in his heart he loves me. But June 23rd, 2012, I show up at my parents' house early, and my wife gets there, and my parents are down there, and my sister and brother-in-law, and the shit hits the fan. It all comes out, and I just, for the first time, just let it out. I can't do this. I drink every day, and there's nothing I can do about it. And my dad got up and walked out. My mom just sat there and cried. My wife said, well, I know you can't quit. I don't support you, and you're out of the house. Now, she had already tried to kick me out twice through the years, and I would talk my way back in. But this time, she said, that's it. You're out. I don't support you anymore. I know you can't quit. But my brother-in-law just took me by the hand, said, look, I want you to meet me in the morning at church, and we're going to go in and talk to some people. So I get up the 24th, head up to church and meet my brother-in-law, and we go in, and he had talked to a couple people there, and we sat in a room, and I just laid it all out. Told them what I told y'all. And so they said, okay, well, let us do a little research. They prayed with me, and right then, when I left that room, I felt a little something different. But we left, and I went over to my sister and brother-in-law's and hung out there. I wasn't welcomed at my house. And they sent an email to my brother-in-law, to Jay, and it had right at the top, it said, Ridgeview Institute's what you need. And at first they were saying, well, the church has, 2 meetings a week. And my brother-in-law said, no, we're going to hit this nail with a sledgehammer. We aren't dealing with that. He's got to go away. And thank God I was willing. I was just a beaten man, empty shell. And I thank God for that. Because it got me to a place where I was willing to do anything I had to do. And it wasn't for Stephanie. It wasn't for anyone but me. Because I was so tired of fighting, lying, just trying to keep up with me. So we start calling Ridgeview, and they say, well, we got an opening Wednesday. And this is Sunday. And we both said, no, that's not going to work. I'll be there in the morning. So I left there and went to my bar, Cason's, which is right outside my neighborhood, where that was my only family at that point, I thought. And I went in there and told them, said, look, I'm headed to rehab in the morning. And these guys, I spent more time with these people than I did my family. And half of them said, God. But then they saw in my eyes, I meant that shit. So we turned out the light, locked the door, and got shit-faced. And told them all bye, and then went home. I wanted to go home late, so I never had to talk to my wife. I went home, packed me a suitcase, got up, and headed to Ridgeview. I got in there about 9 a.m., my brother-in-law right by my side. They put me in detox for about 4 days, and all I wanted to do was just get to the rehab, the halfway house, and start recovery. That's all I kept telling people. Man, let's just get this on. I'm ready. And that ass was whipped, Damon. And right when I got there, I could feel this weight lifted off my shoulders. And God I didn't know what was happening, but it was God. It was all God doing for me what I couldn't do. So I got in there and I finally got up to the halfway house and got down into recovery, and God led me to a great leader. First thing he did, I don't know. It all revolved around me, so I thought he was just taking me on. It felt like that. And we got to sharing, and he said he knew I'd grown up in church, and I believed in God, didn't really know how, but he said, go to your room and read Job 42:10. I don't even know where Job is, but I got back there, and it says, after Job had prayed for his friends, the Lord restored his fortune and gave him twice as much as he had before. And so that's where I started learning, okay, so I don't pray for me, I pray for you. And since that day, it is unbelievable what God will do for me. So while I'm in treatment, they're preaching, get you a sponsor. I hate to keep you awake, Danny. Get you a sponsor. So I did. I was willing to do anything. So I called Jocko. Many of you know him. So I'm calling him every day during treatment. And right when I get out, I start meeting with him. And he's only a year. He's coming up on 3 years sober. So all he knew to do was work the book. And thank God, all he knew was to take me through the book. And that's what he did. And so we met once or twice a week and working those steps. And step 4, when I got to that, I was writing out all they did this. And when I got done with step 4, it was all of my step 4 was based in fear. And all of that was coming back to my ego and self-centeredness. And how it opened my eyes to see that I am the cause of these problems. I don't have to let what you think affect me. I don't have to. And God had removed that obsession early on. And step 4 got my thinking right. God then led me to a therapist. She used to be a counselor at Ridgeview, and it ends up she went to my high school and graduated a year ahead of me, and I knew her. But I felt comfort in that because we knew each other. She's in recovery. I'm in recovery. And man, she did wonders for me. I did my 90 and 90. I came here. I went to every meeting this place has. I went to meetings all over this area. Roswell, Alpharetta. I live in Woodstock. So I went everywhere. Then I found the Breakfast Club. Wow. And I began keeping a journal. And I looked back the other day at my journal and the growth and the thought process, how it's changed over a year. Keep a journal. And you newcomers, write down a journal. Look back after a year. You will be amazed. I celebrated 6 months on Christmas. And, from that, in 2011, my Christmas consisted of, I was putting together a basketball goal for my kids, drunk, put it together wrong, and once you slam it in, there ain't no pulling it out. I had my wife's car, my car, chains hooked to this thing, trying to pull it apart. And at 3 a.m. Christmas morning, I'm sitting in my yard crying. My wife standing in the doorway, you ruined Christmas. And then on my 6-month birthday, I see my kids come down. All their toys are put together. I'm with my family. Just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And my wife, when I left treatment, she said, I don't know if I'm ready for you to come home. I said, I can understand that. I'd finally grown a little. I don't blame you for that. I wouldn't let me in either. And I'd never seen her sober through these eyes. Never seen my kids sober. So when I first walked in the house, all I could do was go to the room and cry. And then I came down and they all hugged me. And today, my kids love me. I'm a father. I get to wake them up every morning, make them breakfast, take them to school, tuck them in every night. It was awesome. My wife actually made me a book. Some of you have seen it, recording my first year of sobriety. And if you haven't, please ask me if you'd like to see it. I've got it in my car. I'd love to show it. It is amazing. She labeled like Halloween, our first Halloween, our first Christmas. And this morning, that woman that hated me so much, she knew I'd been nervous about this. I got a text, you'll do great. Just tell them what you know, and I'll love you. I don't deserve that. I don't deserve this. But I'm loving it. I don't have many memories, so I'm trying to make good ones. That's all I want. I want some good memories I can look back on. So every day I try to do something outside of me. And when I'm outside of me and working this program, I get a high that I never could find in alcohol or drugs. And I can get it again. All I have to do is come here, talk with y'all, help someone else, and I get that high. And there's nothing like it. I am truly blessed that I found this breakfast club. I go to my sponsor. He helps me stay sober. We have nothing in common. He's about 10 years younger than me, blind, no one in his life, but he knows how to stay sober. I come to y'all to learn how to live, to teach me how to be a man, teach me how to have friends. And y'all have done that. And for that, I'm forever grateful. I love every one of you. And I sure appreciate Natalie asking me to do this as much as I dreaded doing this. I know I'm a better person for it. But thank all of you for bearing with me, and I love all of you.